during the podcast, and it was like a running joke, but somebody didn't like it, and they criticized me about it in our YouTube comments. And that comment's still there. I've never. And she ended up like stealing tons of art, and we never questioned her about it. Then one day she stole a picture of some. Okay, I can't take that money. The risks are too real, and because there's if I could limit where I was being born, I could probably keep my chances of being.
And welcome to another episode of the Convoluted Podcast. It's your host, Jesus, aka Tyrant Dominus. And today we have a special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Nan. What's up?
Hey, man. Appreciate you for coming on the show. And for anyone listening, when it comes to guests on the international scale, it's rough getting to basically schedule each other. So I really appreciate you being up at your time to do this. Can you tell us a little bit of what you do?
So currently I'm trying to become a teacher, weirdly enough. But my general stuff that people probably see online would be my live stream podcast that I do talking about webcomics and art and like working in the art industry, and the other just the odd videos that we're currently working on talking about art and stuff, pretty much.
Interesting. I want to get back on that teacher note in a little bit, but all right, let's talk a little bit of some of the projects you're currently working on this the webcomics. That's some of the stuff that I looked into when kind of researching you. And so I got to know you because you were on the Boys' podcast a couple months ago.
Yeah, the layman podcast.
Yeah, pretty interesting bunch. And from there, I was able to, in the rabbit hole of learning about some of the stuff you and some of the other people you work with do. Yeah. So what got you interested in basically the world of webcomics?
Well, I'm a guy of many interests, to be honest. I'm interested in a lot of different things. Work in a lot of different fields. Like I do my degrees in computer science, but I want to go into teaching. I study philosophy, but I also study some biology and math and stuff. So I'm already all over the place. It wasn't really that hard to get me into art. It's interesting. And then the moment I got into art, then I got into comics. I already, I'm a nerd. I read them already. And then it was a matter of meeting people who made them, making one or two myself. In fact, I even entered one into a competition recently.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not really like a big competition. It's more like a minor one where it's just like, hey, work together with some people, and then hopefully we get votes. Hopefully we get name dropped. I hope we do. But yeah, that's where we are right now. It's been and the podcast is just like a natural evolution. Meet some people, talk about webcomics, get invested in webcomics, talk about art with some people, and after a little while, you just all find yourself surrounded by people who love art and comic making and want to make it their full-time job. And then you're like, I want to talk about that and share that with other people and create a community where we can just talk with each other about the things we love and, share tips and ideas and just shit talk.
No, I understand the feeling. And listen to your guys' stuff. I can feel it when listening the passion that comes from your guys' voices. It shows that you guys actually are interested in the work that is being produced by many people, and that there's a lot of interesting. You guys talk about the multitude of different things that are out there, and now that thanks to the glory of the internet, just about anyone can. What's the best? I'm gonna say publish is the best way I can say it. Their work online for people to see. I myself have, in more recent years, have been kind of delving into webcomics, and I'm actually currently reaching out to a couple people, just chat like we are at the moment, and just I just enjoy talking with people about the things they enjoy,
That's
and
cool.
it's interesting to talk to someone who talks to people that in that same manner. You know.
Yeah. uh, I guess it's kind of surreal, wouldn't it be? It's like talking to someone who does the same thing or similar things to what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've talking to I've talked to enough other podcasters to a point where it's you get this sense of uh what is it? Not ownership. What's the word? Similarities. That like okay, I know what you're saying. Because we do basically the same thing in a sense.
Yeah.
But no, I've been enjoying all the stuff you guys are doing, and I've been enjoying the conversations you guys been having. Um, so so what are so what are some of the let's stick to web comics at the moment. What are some of the early web comics that got you interested, and then kind of like said I wanted to do something a little bit more?
Uh, I guess the first one, like this is the one that I read that really got me, and I'd already read webcomics before, but I was never really like properly invested. But the one that really got me invested was this one from a guy called it was the comic is called The Masked Henchman. Um, and I read it's one of those things. It's not big, but the people who read it are super into it. You know, like if you it's kind of like how it's kind of like fantasy stuff. It's like nobody really reads a lot of fantasy, a lot of like serious fantasy, but the people who do are real in there.
Oh, a
um
cult following, basically.
yeah, that's what it's called, cult following. And this one is all it's just a comedy comic. I'm very into comedy. I'm very into I'm very into what I like to call the science of comedy, and that I personally think that comedy is a little bit more structured and like definable than the way people put it, because everyone likes to go it's subjective, and I'm like, what makes you laugh is subjective, but comedy has got methods and ways of working on almost anybody. The only thing that stops it is just the delivery, I guess, but there are rules and systems that comedians use all the time. um so I read that comic. It really enforced that for me, but it was also really fun, and I was like, all right.
Oh, oh no, what happened there? Give me 1 second, everyone. Get back them. We just dropped off. Oh no. Let's see here. Give us 1 second. He disconnected. Hello.
Yo, I got thrown out. What
Okay,
happened?
I don't know. That was weird.
I was just talking, and all of a sudden
Yeah, it just stopped. That was weird. If it
that happened last time as well. That's also the reason why. That's the reason why I left in the middle of it. I didn't mean to.
mm, if
That's
anything, what we
another,
can uh
because it's not my internet. My internet's fine.
now you're coming out clear.
Yeah.
We'll continue. If something happens again, I might just send you another link. It might be the link. I don't know. That's weird.
Wait, did you make the link timed?
No, I don't do those.
Sure.
It's a permanent
Check.
link.
Okay.
If let's continue. So,
All right. Cool.
you were talking about the comedy, basically.
Yeah. So like I'm reading the comedy comic. I was very into the comedy. I was very into the scene. I met and I started reading more stuff, and I figured, hey, I might as well make a Discord around that with a friend, just so I can keep people around who want to talk about that stuff a lot and art and just fuck around basically. Made one. It didn't do too well, but it was doing as well as it needed to. Met someone else who was really into who also had a similar thing. We decided to make one together, join up. Two people managing were probably better than one person managing. It just grew really big really quickly. We didn't see it coming. Like in like 3 months, we went from like just about 150 people or something to like 1,000 people. Then I got bored. He got bored. He started doing his own thing. I started doing more stuff. I said, hey, it'd be cool would be to make a podcast. At the time, it's a different person wanted to do it as well, so I left him in charge. Waited a little bit. Stuff didn't really work out with him, but he'd also gathered some pretty competent people. So I took more control, and then we basically just carried on as we are now, like every 2 weeks.
Hey,
Sit down, live stream.
that's cool. All right, that's it. You know, that's an interesting way of basically you're up and coming from just you and your buddy starting with your interests, and then wanting to move forward after a little hump, and then just gathering these people, and now you have a reasonably good sized team of, and I'm going to say a very entertaining group to listen to. So props on that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate my team. They're great. Without them, I don't think anything will get this far.
Trust me, I don't. If I had my, because for anyone listening, they know the story, but this show is not what it is from what it was like its origin. It used to be like a group, a group topic podcast, and it turned into this interview style now. So
Yeah.
who knew what would happen if I had my old team with me? But you know, evolution for the most part.
Evolution, good.
So now that you've gathered your group, and it sounds like you guys are all doing other little things on top of not only the podcast. What are some of the other things you're currently? You mentioned that you entered a webcomic into something, because that in itself, not only does it take the time and effort to into the work, but then kind of having that, it's sometimes it's bad to say, but you know, the bit of courage to submit some work to be judged by people.
Yeah.
But you guys did it. So
I'm a big proponent of criticism. That's one of the things that I very much push forward whenever I'm talking to people. I'm like, hey, criticism is good. It helps you grow. You know, on one of our videos, I used to talk about this one comic a while ago I didn't like. I used to do it like intermittently during the podcast, and it was like a running joke. But somebody didn't like it, and they criticized me about it in our YouTube comments. And that's comment still there. I've never deleted it, and I read it like every couple of days. But you know, it's like a good way of. I'm a big proponent of learning what's to be better than where you start, because it's good to learn. So when I started writing my own comics, which actually didn't take too long, because I find comic writing easy, because it's a lot of like, it's more about setting up panels and scenes and things rather than you know, like serious, rather than like novel writing. You're more script writing, and I prefer that because I have a little bit of a film background. You know, I worked as a motion capture person for about a year, and I done a little bit of film. I've done some key grip stuff. I have a lot of film knowledge for some reason from just videos and work. So like when it came to writing a comic, I was just like, it's basically writing a film, but with more engaging dialogue and with paying more attention to scene progression. So I finally decided to put my time in, make a comic. This isn't actually my first one. I made one before this called Val with a friend. And that one is about a murderer, a serial killer, but we never got to expand on it because of time. So I said, hey, all right, I haven't really made anything since. We decided to make this one, which is called, we called it Home Free, just for a little thing. It's 2 pages for the art, for the Reddit subreddit r/comic collabs. And we just submitted it there. There's a lot of other good stuff there as well. You're like,
okay, we dropped again. Okay, guys, we will try that again. It seems that. Okay.
That was weird.
Okay, that's bugging me. I don't know what Discord's doing, but did you try the new one I sent you?
Yeah, I used the new link you sent.
Okay, let's hope Discord does not. Okay, I'm honestly, this is the first time this has happened to me. As far as Discord doing this to me.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Like last time, I actually had a whole like half of my conversation be muted on both ends.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we had to go to Skype, which is my least favorite thing.
Nobody likes Skype.
No.
You know what I'm gonna do? I think it may be because I shut down a bunch of stuff earlier. I'm gonna reset my Discord just to make sure. Is
okay.
that cool?
Oh,
that way, in case, hopefully that will help.
Yeah, I'll wait. Whew. Oh my god, that is so rough. Why is that doing that to me? That is so rough. Why? Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's hope that works.
All
Okay.
right, cool. That
You're
should be
back?
fine. Yeah, somehow even when I reset, it kicked me out. Like,
How
it's
does oh
amazing.
my god, why?
I don't know. That's amazing.
I
But
might just
yeah,
have to I don't know, I might just have to create a new server and start from scratch.
it's cool.
But
I made an invite. I used an invite that I made earlier to invite myself that way.
oh,
Hopefully that'll
okay.
be fine. All right.
Interesting.
Where was I?
Shoot. Let's see here. We were oh, you were talking about the comic you worked on.
Yeah, so we put that in. We just submitted it because it was just like a small 2-pager. Like, all right, cool. There's a lot of good work on r/slash comic collabs right now that they're showing. Like some more people, like, it was supposed to be like a find some friends, and make a comic together, and that was pretty interesting. So I found a friend, I found another friend, I coerced them using my powers of seduction, and and we ended up making a pretty good comic together. At least I think it's pretty good. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things to criticize about it, like the fact that it has no dialogue, and I'm the writer. um, but yeah.
You know
Uh,
that's what's interesting is as far as like not only collabing but Reddit has been a godsend for me as far as the because luckily there's almost a subreddit for just about anything
yeah.
that I've been fortunate to because I use the r/podcast and r/podcasting a lot
Mm,
for my show to not only not really promote but more to get guests and stuff like that, but also
yeah.
for help when dealing with some problems.
Oh yeah.
But it's also one of those things that I've known people who I've talked with who have used that platform to gather all other like-minded people to create these shows too, which is interesting because it's like you're finding these random people on the internet and you're
Yeah.
able to create something out of it, and it's amazing and it's wonderful. It can be a little scary, but you never know unless you try.
Of course, that's like the number one rule, isn't it? At least give it a shot. It might burn, it might crash and burn, but I mean, it'll be the most glorious crash and burn you'll ever see.
But it sounds like it worked out really well for you.
I mean, for that, this is the only thing I've really used Reddit for. I'm actually still pretty scared to use Reddit. I'm gonna be honest. Like I tried to use Reddit the other day to do advertising. I have a problem with advertising in that I'm terrible at it. You know,
May I ask, well, what you were trying, for the most part, as advertising, what were you trying to do?
well, like I never advertise our podcast. Like I am not the reason we do well. I'm the reason we do well is my friend is my co-host who's just great, and she manages to get people to come. If I don't advertise, I don't tell people we're going online. I don't tweet out the link. Those are the things you're supposed to do. The simple things. I don't know how to do that without feeling really weird about it, which I've been learning to do slowly. Forcing myself, getting it out. First I do it on Discord. Lately, I've been trying to get it onto doing it on Twitter. Um, but it's been a learning process. It's been a
Uh,
learning process.
I know. I understand that feeling. I am a one-man show on this end, so I had to handle everything from the Twitters to Instagram,
Yeah.
and I handle more than one podcast. I think I handle about
Oh
like
damn.
three or four podcasts.
Yeah, I saw that in your list of so many.
I yeah, it's if it wasn't something I enjoyed doing, then I would have quit long ago. I'm not gonna lie. Uh,
Totally.
but it's one of those things. One, as far as this show is concerned, I just enjoy talking with people and getting to learn a little bit about them, because you never know who you might get a chance to talk with. Because
Yeah.
honestly, like yourself, you're literally on the other side of the world. Will probably have never met you ever, and
Yeah.
thanks to this slight chance, we were able to talk, and I got to no, I'm currently learning a little bit more about you and some of the work you're doing, and it's like I would have known about you because of the work you've been doing online, but I
Mm.
would never have gotten a chance to speak one on one with you.
That's I hope that you learned something from talking to me, because I don't really think I've got anything valuable to say, but hey.
Well, the best way I can put it, in the way I've felt every time I've finished these shows, is um, because for the most part I do actually continue. Like some people will just say like, oh, I'm glad you were a guest on my show, and then because for the most part some people do research beforehand to get to know a little
Mm,
bit. Because that's what I have to do just to get an idea of who I'm going to talk to.
yeah.
And it's rough saying, but I know I've known a few people who just kind of uh, just do that and will say, I've enjoyed your show and I'll continue listening, and they kind of just drop off and things like that.
Mm,
But I honestly do continue listening to a lot of the people work, more so if it's something along the field that I enjoy to listen to, or in some of the topics. That's the word I want. Some of the topics that it's being spoken about, because uh, let's go with just your show, because I've been more active in reading web comics and looking for more web comics more lately within the last 7 months. I want to say at
yeah.
least 7 months. I've been like searching for more things to read, because
Yeah.
I'm more I in the last 2 years I've been big into audio dramas,
Yeah.
uh, and I was heavy in reading back in high school when I was reading when I was reading like comics and manga, and then like I mentioned earlier, the rise of the web comics and the ability for people to publish everyone's work. You never
Yeah.
know what someone might create, and you never know if it's going to be interesting to your taste or not. And there's been a couple.
Yeah.
So like for your show, you guys are like talking about different things. That it gives me like it's something that I enjoy. Maybe any of my listeners who enjoy reading or finding something new, your show provides like that ability to dive a little bit deeper into that
To
world.
the work, yeah, yeah, it's true. We go very deep, and we go very more technical aspect. I say very deep. That's not the phrase, but we go very we go more technical. We talk more about art. We talk more about the actual hard part about the creator side. We've been trying to make stuff more for people who just consume. So like I've been working on a review system that isn't shit, because I watched a video from Hank Green.
Hmm.
uh Hank Green and John Green, like the Vlog Brothers, right?
Yes,
On
I know the
YouTube.
names.
Yeah, I watched a video from Hank and John. It was on their Vlog Brothers channel, and he was talking about how criticism is something he sees to be a way to lift things up, you know? And that's how I see criticism too. I believe very much that's what criticism is: lifting things up and showing what we can learn from it and how we can improve. Um, I don't like the way films and TV shows are reviewed, where everyone's just like, it's shit. Like I can think those things, but I don't think that works as a way of talking about something. So I've been working a lot on a way of reviewing a comic that is positive. It's like all right, this is all the good things. These are all the things I think we can learn from. And by learn from the things that aren't very good, but it's also a way that we can look upon it and think, hey, maybe from this we can do this, we can do this, and we can get better. I've been trying to think of how to do that more often. I've been writing heuristics. I've been working on a thing. I put a score in, but the score is meaningless. you know, it's more about the relative growth of a person in their own medium, among the people, surrounded by the people that work around them, and how well they're doing for the time where they are. At least that's what I think it's for. Like I use it on my friend's comic. It's not complete, but I use my friend's work, and I actually got a 68, which is a good score, because I'm not IGN. It's not just 9 out of 10s. A 6 out of 10 is a good score. A 7 out of 10 is a good score. And then it was like, all right, 68. Why does she have 68? And then it was like, oh, because she's got a lot of construction in story. She's got a lot of construction in art. Um, and she's doing really well on both fronts, but she's got some problems with anatomy that can be fixed, and I think it's a good thing to learn from her how, like, yeah, there's some good things she does with anatomy, but I think there's a way you can enhance this to be a little bit better, add a little more body to the characters. Your backgrounds are great, but you have unnecessary elements for no reason, and it takes away and it distracts readers. Like, it's not this is shit. It's more this is good, and you can do this, and it could be better. And I think that's a better way of going about talking about stuff, engaging people in a positive way.
No, I actually, you know what? I like that idea, because one of my other shows, I basically just talk about movies and TVs and stuff, TV shows and stuff, and for the most part, when I kind of, I'll say review a film, it's one of those things that I honestly try to think about it for a moment, because I still do the 1 out of 10, but my my actual 7 means something compared, because for the most part I've talked to this about multiple people, and it sounds like you have a more uh I'm gonna say strict maybe rating, because for you, like you said, a 6 to 8 is still a good rating. For me, like a 5 for the most part. If someone here is like, oh my god, that's like, why'd you give that film a 5? For me, a 5 is an average film. It's okay. It's in the middle. I'm not calling it a bad movie. It's just in the middle, guys. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. Like,
Yeah.
don't be mad at me. I'm just giving it an average score, guys. Don't be mad. So when I give a movie an actual 7, it's a reasonably good movie. Like,
Yeah.
and so I've been trying to figure out a way to kind of word it a little bit, because there's when it comes to like putting out criticism, a lot of time it's really negative. But when the way you're from what I've heard from you, it sounds like if you put a positive and then what could have been improved, sounds a little bit more appealing to the ear.
Yeah.
And that sounds something that I that I might want to, myself would want to kind of start using it in my own methodology.
It could really be helpful. I mean, I watch a lot of films too. There's lots of films that I don't like. I personally think are not good, but I think there's ways to look about it. Like, let's take the average horror movie.
Okay.
The horror movie is pretty meh. I mean, it's true. They're meh.
No, yeah,
they're made quick. They're made for a budget of usually under $3-4 million, which is nothing in movie terms. And it's like they're made because they want to make a quick buck and make $10 million from $3 million, which is genuinely what they do. If you take an average horror movie, we need to accept the fact that they still manage to get us with jump scares. They overdo the jump scares, so maybe do less jump scares next time. But jump scares are good and they're effective. And this movie is evidence of the fact that they can be used effectively, because the 1 or 2 times in every horror movie, they do genuinely get you. But there'll also be the acceptance of the fact that the acting isn't very good. But these actors aren't bad. It's most likely what they're working with. In which case, we need to also accept the fact that, well, for what they're working with, they're probably doing a decent enough job. We should take focus away from them, and maybe look more at the script and the dialogue and what's wrong with the dialogue, or how the dialogue could have been improved, and make the actors sound better. Maybe the director isn't really putting in his 100% because he's not getting paid enough. We don't know. The industry is weird.
Oh, I love that you mentioned that. I've had. I love that you said that, because there's so many times I've had discussions. I'm gonna say discussions in quotations here, where people have gotten arguments after watching a film or a show about like how horrible that actor in that role was, and like I've always made that comment. It's not always the actor's fault. He has a script that he's given. He has the words that he's like. He can't say anything besides those words, besides the few ad libs that can sometimes come out, and then the way it's filmed is all on the director. Actors are, for the most part, somewhat limited to whatever their prowess and whatever they're given. So don't 100% blame the actors. Okay, I've mentioned that multiple times, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because there are times, the actor just kind of faux pas depending on things, but it's not all their fault. There's a lot of factors.
That's true. There's lots of things to take into account when it comes to the average creation situation. Hell, sometimes even when it comes to movie and work environment, it's not even anyone's fault. It's just the results of what's going on. Like there's a movie I watched called what's that thing called? It's one of those movies that's like a B movie that you go to watch at like the Sundance Festival and everyone trashes it, but everyone watches it anyway. Um, and like the director was a competent director. He had directed some cool stuff. You know, he was working, but it was his first feature film, like feature length film. You know, he was working for the first time in a feature length film. He had a bunch of, he spent a lot of time trying to, figure out how to create this movie. The screenwriter gave him the script and just vanished. So there was no screenwriter to help with. There was no one. There was not really enough staff to help make a movie. Making a movie, the average movie takes like 40, 50 people. People think it's like a 5-person affair. It's not. Like there's a person on set who I forgot the job title. Should know this job title. There's a person on set whose job essentially it is to look at the script, right? The continuity director, look at the script, look at the scene, make a change and make sure that it follows the rest of the scene. And for most initial movies, right? Most first time movies that people are making, there is no continuity director. It's just you. So you have to be the one doing everything. You got to do the continuity directing. You got to do the lighting. And maybe you have like one lighting guy, but he's so expensive, you can't even keep him on all the time. Maybe you have one assistant director, but your assistant director most likely just gets people food. Or maybe he's not even your director, he's your producer. He gets all the food and makes sure nobody freaks out. Like sometimes your timeline is insane. And like I've seen one movie where the timeline was like they had 9 months to film a 1.5 hour movie, and like it was a thick script, and with takes and retakes and reshoots and things to think about and things to change. That's not a lot of time. 9 months is not enough to make most movies that long, and the budget wasn't even high enough. So he was working with a low budget in 9 months. What the fuck? And the last day of filming was when he did he did the intro, the middle, the most important scene in the middle, and the end of the film, all in that last day, which is fucking hell, And he did that because he woke up at like 5, got to the set, had a mental breakdown because he was just like, I don't know what to do. And then he got his producer to go and buy everyone McDonald's breakfast while he just sat down, reread the entire script and rewrote entire sections that's the beginning, middle, and end, and reshot everything immediately. Like sometimes actors are bad.
Wow.
Sometimes actors are just bad. Like one of the people he was working with, they tried to get him to smoke a joint together, right? In the film, part of the film, smoke a joint. They rolled the joint for her. They gave her the joint. It wasn't, of course it wasn't real, but they gave her the joint. She managed to fuck it up. And it's,
my God.
Because they wanted her to roll it on screen. So they gave her a partially rolled one, fucked it up. Gave her an unrolled one, she fucked it up. They gave her one that was basically almost complete. All she had to do was do the final roll. She somehow messed up the roll. And like the scene, in the end, they just gave her a fully rolled one. And there's no continuity in the scene because there's no actor they can get that's better. They haven't got a hand model or anything. A lot of movies use hand models, by the way. Every scene you see without people in it, right? There's a good chance that where there's like a hand doing stuff, but there's no person in it. There's a good chance the hand model.
Really?
They've paid one person whose job it is to pretend to be your hands.
No way. I did not know that. I have to
Angelina
start
Jolie's
looking.
hands. Yeah, you're gonna see it. Angelina Jolie's hands are almost never the same in her movies. Like because a lot of actresses, especially, have like very just different. The hands are just I don't know. They apparently, according to the filmmakers, they're just not aesthetically pleasing enough. So they hire hand actresses whose job it is to be their hand, have a similar skin tone, have if your skin tone isn't similar enough, but it's close, they do makeup on just your hand. Paint your nails to look exactly the same nails that the actress shows on screen. Sometimes hands in front of faces that you see, where someone's like, look at this, and they raise their hand, they put on a glove. It might not be their hand.
Thinking about it right now and thinking of just the amount of films I've seen in the last couple years, and like thinking of just little like scenes like that, it makes me wonder so much now.
Yeah, I know. It really gets me too.
It makes sense too.
They've also got foot models, by the way. They're also foot models.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense too. But
Stop
no,
using people's jobs to be your feet. It's so weird.
oh, that is so weird, but it makes more sense because there was that weird running joke is like, why do you want to be like, for the most part, why do you want to be a hand or feet model? For the most part, I can understand a hand model is like when you're like at least showcasing jewelry and the like. But then what's left for your career, you know?
Exactly.
And
You wonder, what do they do? And there's a
that
lot.
makes more sense now if they're used in like films for the most part.
Films. Yeah,
That makes
films,
sense.
ads as well, very
Yeah.
much.
Okay.
By the way, if your hands aren't perfect for hand models, their jobs are so weird. If your hands aren't, there's a perfect manicuring thing you've got to do when you've made it in the industry. You start having to go to professional manicurists, and you've got to make sure you take care of your hands. You got to lotion them up, keep them soft, keep them looking good. Because even one imperfection in your hand, like maybe you've got like a wrinkle too many, your career's gone. Like it's weird. Like I'm pretty sure I've over exaggerated a little bit, but it's still very evident with them that they take this very seriously.
No,
Yeah.
it sounds like it is. Overall, it's a difficult, difficult
It's
market.
a
And then
weirdly difficult market.
so if you do fuck up your hands, like it's over. Like no, like looking at my own hands, never stood a chance from my youth. Too many cuts and bruises from too many shenanigans. um,
There are
but
also
no,
hair models, by the way. That's the
wait,
thing.
what
I
kind?
keep forgetting. There are a lot of them. There's hair models.
Hair models?
Yeah, so there are people whose job it is to be your hair. Because sometimes actresses or actors don't come back to the scene. Like if you're Bruce Willis, you have a contract that says you only record for one day. Genuinely, that's what Bruce Willis's contract says. Uh, so
Damn.
lots of yeah, I know he's a terrible person to work with, but lots of actors and actors don't make it back. So the scenes where this just needs to be your hair, yeah, it's sometimes a stunt double, but if it's just the back of your head and you standing up, they'll get someone who fits your build, but they don't really have to. They can usually enhance that with some CG. They want someone who has the hair you've got because hair is very obvious when it's real and fake on CG because
Oh
you've
no,
got to make
yeah.
it feel bouncy and stuff. So sometimes they get people with like similar hair. There's like lots of little roles that don't always officially exist until they need it. It's so fucking weird.
Oh my god, that is so interesting. Wow. Oh my god, I gotta ask one of my actor buddies about this a little bit more and like tell me why did you tell me about this stuff, man?
Because it's not common, I'm pretty sure. It's like again, like the hand models do stuff. They usually work for only big actors.
No, that makes more sense. It's for more the
Yeah,
like A-list celebrities when it comes
because
to
they're
like big
making
budget films.
exactly because they're making films with the budget that can pay for that shit. Most movies just kind of go, fuck it, your arms are ugly, we're using them.
Like
Just go.
I can't afford anyone. You're in. Get
It's
film.
just film is weird.
Oh, interesting. Cool. I learned something there. Wow. How did we tangent off that? I don't remember
I
what we
don't
were
even
talking
know.
about.
We're talking about film criticism, and
Oh
now
yeah, that's
yeah, we're talking about criticism. To be fair,
yeah.
but
I
yeah,
think
positive criticism is good.
Go finishing off that this tangent. Yeah, positive criticism is good. So let's learn a little bit more about you. So you're working towards trying to become a teacher, and it sounds like you're like well versed in a multitude of different studies.
Mm.
So before we get into your diving into your trying to become a teacher, uh, what can you list off some of the different uh, educations you have and what got you interested into each one of them?
Well, like in about 20 days, I should probably have a degree in computer science. I could have one. I could have failed, but
Oh, ooh.
yeah. Uh, but I probably will have a degree in computer science, and I'm just planning. I just wanted to teach. Like, I'm very interested in education in general. It's fun to teach people stuff. There's that face people make when they just get something, you know. And like, I don't know. I want to be able to give that idea, that feeling of like just understanding what's going on, how things work, and why something matters, or how a concept how a concept plays out. I want to give that to someone. I want to give that feeling to someone. It's a good feeling. I like the
Hmm.
feeling. And that's all. I just want to do that all the time.
Okay, all right. Like I understand. I understand the feeling of finally like getting it to click, but seeing it in someone else, it does act. I get it. I get it for the most part. When mostly anyone out there listening, you guys you guys understand the feeling. Once you like something you've been struggling and it finally works and you know why it works, it feels great. It feels wonderful. And then if you're working alongside someone on a similar project, and then like you've completed it, you're like how you're happy, and then you're watching them, and you see that same delight and joy in their faces, and like
Yeah.
you understand what they're doing, and to be able to give that the chance to give that sense of satisfaction, I want to say, to others is yeah, that's pretty good. Like that's
I don't even know what to say about it.
Hey, no, man. Yeah, you have an idea what you want to do. A lot of people don't these days. So more power to you.
Nice.
But it sounds like you've touched in different fields to then get to this to computer science.
Yeah.
So what were your some of your earlier studies that led you to
Math.
computer science?
Lots of math. I really like math. Physics. I love physics as well growing up. I just don't like exams, but I really like physics and math. I did a lot of projects, like physical projects. Hell, when I was 17, no, when I was 14. When I was 14, time for me to show off a little bit. I did a project for but in the country I lived in back then. I did a project about we had a flooding problem. I did a project where I was like, we could take our flooding problem and we could, while fixing the drainage issue that caused the flooding problem, we could also use the water we get to generate some power, which would be great for us because we need some power. It's good to have power. Because
Oh
we also
yeah,
had a power problem where power never stayed on. Like imagine being in your home, but like every so often the lights just went off
I had
regularly,
that.
daily.
I don't know that regularly, but I did have that moment last time for
Yeah,
recording.
I
Anyone
remember.
listening, the day we actually had to record, I actually had a power outage in my house for half a day, so I missed my recording day.
Half a
But
day is just for me. That's like bliss. The fact that it's half a day.
but
Back home, it could be days, it could be weeks.
oh, ooh,
I like say if you didn't have your own personal generator, you were a bit fucked.
oh,
You literally sat there with like, yeah, no power
interesting.
for
But it sounds like
a
you were
week.
working on something. Continue on
But yeah,
this.
the project is just like I made something that showed how we could use it to get power. And the Metropolitan Development Organization, the people who basically do all the local improvements and like plan all the big budget projects, they wanted to buy it from me. My father refused to let them pay me for it. I don't know why. Money is the only way to prove that something has value. But whatever. Personally, I believe that money is the only way that something has value. Like, you give money because you think it's worth it. And the only way for your project to be proved to be worth it to people is that you give money. You know? That's the only way you can tell people it has value, at least in my opinion. My dad didn't believe in being paid for stuff like that because he's a very nationalist guy. Like I say, that's not even the right word. He's a very like, sometimes you just do things because you can.
No, yeah, I get it. My mother's in a similar boat. She's kind of wondering why I'm not doing something more with my spare time than talking to random strangers on the internet. I told her it's gonna do something. My father keeps saying something's gonna come out of it one day. And my mom's like, just wasting his time. Like
something always comes out. As long as it's not the only thing you do. Because of course, as a human being, you always remember there's lots of things to do. There's
no,
lots of
yeah.
things you can dabble in. And I think that project really was the thing that made me realize it. Because to do that project, I had to learn pretty complex physics for my age at the time. I had to, understand city planning. So I actually had to study like how city planning worked and how drainages are made and why they're made the way they are. And it was a lot of like work going into it back then. But overall, it was just like it was me realizing with one project, how there's a lot to learn and a lot of ways things holistically interact with each other. Holisticism is like how everything's interconnected. You know, it's the belief that everything's interconnected, and I personally believe in that. I believe that you do some math, you do some physics, you can realize how it's connected to your philosophy, to your English, to your anything. There's a connection that links everything together, and that was the thing that really turned it for me. So I just learned constantly. I studied constantly. I watched YouTube videos from like educational channels on like even the most boring content. I watched 3 Blue 1 Brown. If you ever heard of that channel, he just teaches you math. All he does every day. He's like fractal math. You want to learn about fractals? Like interesting about fractals because of the way fractals are, because of the fact that a country can be described as a fractal because of the shape. It means that fractals are basically regular patterns as you go closer and closer, and that's the easiest way for me to explain it without getting any more complex. But it means that technically the coastline of a nation is anywhere from a small distance to fucking infinitely long. Because the smaller and smaller you go, the more lengths you can actually attach, the more distance you can actually attach to the length of the circumference of a nation. I guess, yeah, the circumference, the perimeter of a nation. It's kind of interesting to see stuff like that and learn stuff like that. I just learn lots of math, learn lots of physics, learn lots of biology, chemistry. Doesn't really matter. Anything. English. I learned a lot of English rules. I learned a bit of French because I thought it was cool. I'm terrible at it. Learned like a lot about geometry and geography and how important those things are. I never used to like geography growing up. I thought it was useless. I was so wrong. I was so wrong. Geography is like way more, and like as you go deeper into geography, you start looking at geology, and it's like, holy shit, there's lots of things to learn, and everything is super interesting, and everything's connected. I do a lot of political science. If you watch the podcast with the boys, you heard me talk politics a little bit.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I like politics a lot. It's fun. Because it's, I don't know, it's just fun. It's good. We're all talking about stuff because we want to make the world we live in a better place. At least I want to believe that we all want to make the world we live in a better place. So it's good that we dedicate a stupid amount of time to something that seems so frivolous.
No, I totally get it, and I like that, like I'm glad we're talking a little bit more because there's like I said, I wanted to learn a little bit more about you because this just opens up a bigger idea of the person you are and some of the reasons the way you talk. I think that's the best way I want to say it when it comes to your show, because it's just like, this makes more sense why he's so well versed and why he's able to speak so adamant about a couple topics, because I
am very stubborn. I am very stubborn. There are lots of things I do not budge on. I don't budge on the idea of what do you call it? Of inclusivity. I don't budge on a lot of ideas. And like people really rouse a lot of people up because people are like, how could you not change your mind? And I'm like, I mean, some of the things I believe in because I think they make everyone happier. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, it's true. It's hard to there are a lot of things that there can't be another answer to, but there are things that, if you're able to talk it out for the most, you can. There are some in betweens, but there are some things that no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no way you can convince unless you're able to like properly what's the word? It's a word in debate. It's like when you're able to, not accurately, but like when you're able to, what's the word? It's a word where
I'm trying to think of. I'm looking up debate terminology now because my brain's like, make a persuasive argument. That way,
there you go. Thank you. When you're able to make a persuasive argument, thank you. Then I'll listen to you a little bit more than someone just rambling on nonsense to you. I when having any discussion, I want to be able to, like, I want to listen, but I'm not going to listen to gibberish.
Yeah, genuinely, like
Like,
it's weird to see what people consider as gibberish, what people don't consider, and what people do consider gibberish. Like, I've met, so over the course of the past year, I've met a lot of people into a guy called Steven Crowder. You probably don't know who he is, but if I told you change my mind, he's that guy. The guy who's like, this and this changed my mind. You've seen that meme like everywhere.
oh, okay,
That
yes.
chair meme. He's the person who was sitting at the chair originally in real life
Oh,
with like a
okay.
thing and changed my mind. That's him.
Interesting.
Steven just lies. I was trying to think of the right way to say it, but there isn't really a right way to say it. And I don't want to straw man Steven, because he's not a straw man. Is basically like when you reduce someone to like one argument and you say that argument is who they are. I don't want to straw man Steven. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things to him I don't know. I don't know him personally. I don't know who he is personally. I don't know him in real life. I've never met him. I don't live around him. He's not a friend of mine or a person I know through work, so I can't really comment on his personality as a person. But the things he says are weird. Like, he says he's not a climate change denier, right? He says he's a climate skeptic, which, one, why are you skeptical about something that 97% of the entire scientific community agrees on? But I can also understand the skepticism, to be fair, because our problem with science is that we always argue from authority. That's a scientific problem. It's something you can't help with arguments. A lot of scientific papers are like, based on the research from this people and this people, we also decided to do research like that, and it seems to line up with their results, so we think it's correct. That's a big scientific issue that it's hard to solve, and scientists have been talking about how to solve it for years. It's very difficult to solve. Make an argument without calling upon someone you think of as doing respectable work. It's quite hard. It's an argument from authority. A lot of people don't like it, and I can get why people would be skeptical of people who make arguments from authority. But there's so much overwhelming evidence about climate change that you've got to accept it. But then Stephen does things like, he would say the Antarctic is gaining back its ice sheets, which it's true. The Antarctic is making a net gain of its ice, right? But the Antarctic isn't the only ice sheet in the entire world. There's the Greenland ice sheet, which is losing stupidly billions of tons of ice, right?
I've seen videos, yes.
Yeah, you've seen the video. So you end up in a situation where the world is like at a net loss. And then he goes, I'm a global warming skeptic. I'm like, how? You just quoted one thing and fucked off the other shit. And you just told that you made an argument.
Oh my god.
There's a YouTuber called Mumbo Jumbo, Minecraft YouTuber. Nice guy, nice, pleasant guy, as far as I can see on his channel. Being nice and just doing Minecraft. I don't think there's any problem with anyone who does Minecraft. He got copyright claimed, right? For a song he used on like 900 videos, which is insane. All at once as well. It was in one moment 900 videos. So poor kid is going through like all the copyright claims, trying to fix all the music problems.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. Just some things just don't work for you. Work for people. But the reason why he's being claimed is because it's not because of the music he used. Music was actually something he bought. He bought the music.
Okay.
What's happening is within the song, there's a sample that the musician who made the song used to make the song. Right?
Oh.
He just did it. And they're claiming him on that sample. Here's the thing about music. The music industry doesn't work in the same rules as fair use. Fair use does not cover music, because music has so many laws that basically destroy the meaning of fair use anyway. For example, did you know if you sample a song, and you didn't get permission, you've basically stolen their copyright, stolen their copyrighted material. But here's another thing about sampling. Music labels won't let you sample their songs if you don't have a label. Which doesn't make sense, because lots of people don't have labels.
That's interesting. So I didn't know that part.
If you ask for a sample permission, it's basically theft. There's not some permission, they won't give it to you. And they won't give it to you if you use it, it's theft. By the way, even if they can't recognize it, it's still theft. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
You can literally steal like a little bit of King Kunta or something, right? Actually, that song is a song that samples a lot of other songs. And to even do those samples, it's a tedious permission process. And they will still tell you no unless you have a label, like people like Kendrick Lamar or whatever. But if you sample like a little bit of Green Day, right?
Okay.
Sample Green Day, you can change it and warp it, and it's impossible to recognize. And even the content thing will not notice it, right? But if somebody finds out that you sampled Green Day, anyhow they find out, you just committed theft.
Yeah.
And that's insane, right?
Oh,
That's
God.
crazy.
That
And
is.
it's just, it's evidence that music law is a bit fucked up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, that
But it
is
doesn't,
true.
yeah, but it means according to current music law, Mambo's music happens to be copyright material. It just is. It's unfortunate, but it just is. It's very complicated. And here's what's funny about it. Stephen told people that music falls under fair use. It doesn't. You're just wrong, Stephen. I know this because the music that I use from my show, I had to get cleared. Go through the whole permission thing.
Really?
We just got a song that we're going to be using for shows and stuff. At least one of our videos. And to get that song, I had to make sure, one, I had no licensing agreement. Two, I had to go to a website called BMC. There's a lot of these websites where you can go and find out who owns the copyright to a song, and it will tell you who owns the samples with it. It'll tell you the samples in the song, and you can check who owns the samples in the song, that kind of shit. So I had to go do that for like 6 hours, still get rejected, by the way, for the song I really wanted. And I got a different version from someone else. It was 6 hours of just paperwork, then get rejected after like a week, because they say we'll get back to you when we want to, and they take like a week, and then they just go no.
Fun. Oh my God.
Now he's telling people it's fair use. It's a lie. You're harming people's lives, and I don't know whether he's lying because he genuinely wants to lie, or because maybe he's genuinely just making mistakes, because it's not his fault that he doesn't know this. Music law is bullshit.
That makes me worried, because for the most part, when it comes to some of the works I use the music for, like for my game shows, I have like undertone music that goes with it that I'll be putting in later for when we play the games.
Yeah. Undertone music is actually completely free, by the way, just so you know, because Toby Fox has like no real copyrights on anything. It's very weird.
Good to know. When it comes to kind of some of the intros, because I'm for the most part I'm gonna say make my own music for like all my intros and outros for all my videos and podcasts, and I've made some for some other people, and for the most part I don't worry about it too much, but I do, as far as like, at least I'll say, at least for YouTube, I do upload like a minute's worth of audio loop of it, and just kind of keep it unlisted, but at least hopefully it doesn't get claimed. But if it does, and like that's the only way that lets me know. And I'm forgetting their name now, and I do apologize if they're listening. That they told me that would be one of the easiest way to see if something like that would like cause, because it's been an issue, because I while back, and I used to do a lot of YouTubing, a lot of YouTube videos, and I've been hit with a lot of copy strikes and all that. Copy claims. I've been hit with 2 strikes in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But it's not nice. It's not fun.
It's never fun.
But when it comes to like audio, that's what I've been told. So that's why anyone listening, like all the like the audio, the music portion that I work on, like I spend a reasonable amount on some of these like 15-minute clips, but I try to make it as unique, I'm gonna say, as possible to whatever I'm working on, and hopefully it doesn't get claimed by someone, because for the most part, the reason I put out what I do is I enjoyed what I made, and hopefully out there someone will enjoy it too. But yeah, the claim system. Ooh.
I know what you mean.
Wow, but no, that's interesting to know. And for anyone listening, you've learned a little bit more.
Yeah, it's not anyone's fault for not knowing copyright law, because copyright law is fucking crazy. It's made by a bunch of people who were high off their tits when they were making the law, and who haven't stopped taking methadone and DMT since the moment the law went out. Like, I just quoted random jokes there. I'm sorry.
That's true. On top of that, it's they were like created before all this.
Yeah, before the internet was a thing, and musicians. Yeah, and musicians are very adamant about keeping music law. And I can understand why. They live in an industry that regularly gets burned. But the things they do, in my opinion, stifle a lot of growth. and it's really bad because it's the things they do. They do it because they want to protect themselves, but like they end up in a situation where like it causes like the industry around them, the music industry, the film industry, all the industries around them to not grow because there's no way to easily gain access to the works of other people and take it and make something bigger and better. And some musicians are trying to do that, but the general label-based industry has just fucked everyone over. Like it's just bullshit. It's a bunch of executives who want to keep all the money for themselves, don't want to share, and want to make sure the only people who can get what they make are people they deem worth it. Because if you gatekeep the industry, you can determine who stays at the top. It's like how they got upset that Chance the Rapper won a Grammy despite not having a label.
Yeah. There you go, guys.
He's the first guy to do that. Nice. He's the first person to do that. And like labels don't like the idea of that. They don't want that. The same way like film doesn't like the idea of Netflix series winning Oscars.
That topic.
Yeah. It's like the industries want to gatekeep and they don't have a system, and that's why they make it hard for you to get in without being part of their framework.
Oh, yeah. No, tell me about it. It's all separated.
So dumb.
All right, we're getting to that time where we're gonna start closing up a little bit.
Sure.
So before that, I'm gonna have a few words from my friends here.
Hey, this is Christian from the Gaming on the Fly podcast, and you're listening to the BS Podcast Network.
This podcast brought to you by OuchThatHurts.com. Visit Ouch That Hurts for music, gaming, reviews, editorials, podcasts, and more. Ouch That Hurts. HERTZ.com.
What?
And we're back. Ad roll.
Okay, cool.
Edit for later. So we're back.
Okay. Who ads for you? Who's your advertiser?
One day I'll get ads. It's just promotional stuff. It's just promotion.
Right,
but anyone listening, anyone wants self-promotion, talk to me. Anyways, so we're at the part of the end where I ask my guests to kind of regale us with a tale of one of the strangest, weirdest, most convoluted thing that has ever happened, you've ever done, or have ever encountered.
That's difficult. I do a lot of stuff, but my life is still pretty overall boring. I guess. Okay, here's a story. It took place on Discord with some friends because we made a big server to just so we could keep everyone in there adults, and we just wanted to hang out with more adults and get to know more people around us because we live in a local area. We're just trying to make new friends, basically. A girl joined the server. Her name was Honey. Like her real name was Honey, not like a Discord name. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. But Honey had this weird tendency to steal art. And yeah, just to steal art and steal basically anything that she claimed to be hers. It's really fucking weird. Like, not even kidding. She stole lots of work from Reddit, and then she would claim it to be hers. And this was like a blind faith group. We just trust you, and she ended up like stealing tons of art, and we never questioned her about it. Then one day she stole a picture of some baked thing, and one of our friends who bakes a lot, who's like on all the subreddits for baking and cakes stuff, was just like, looks familiar. Post screenshot from Reddit. And by the way, I should point out, by the time Honey was dating one of our friends, she started like dating him and going out with him, and they were like saving up money to go see each other. I'm not a big fan of the LDR thing, but he was, and good for him. He was trying to be happy. Anyway, so he and her were talking. They hadn't really like set up time to see each other, but they video call and stuff. She was dating, and he turned out she'd be lying to him too. She didn't lie to everybody. She lied to me. She lied to everyone about her entire life. She lied about how people just send her money on PayPal and stuff. And it's just like the sheer watching the idea you had of someone break down in real time, but you're not invested enough to care about them. It's just funny. It's just really funny to watch. Uh, I'm so sorry. That's the wrong. All the positivity today, and that's where I get to.
Oh, okay. Wow. Wow. That is
In the group, we have a new word called a hun lie. A hun lie is a honey-based lie, which is basically like a lie that is so amazing and terrifying that you just never thought you would see.
Oh, wow. You know, what surprised me is like for the most part, you went on the internet. You for the most part when you start talking with people, it's you go in with that blind faith, and then
Yeah.
when it starts to unravel so quickly, wow.
Yeah, and it was like in real time because it was like the moment people realized the baked thing was a lie, then people started looking at the art and they were like, "Huh." Took the art, reverse Google. It's like somebody posted a reverse Google image search, and it was like, "I have never reverse Google image search something with this many results. What the fuck?"
Oh wow, that is crazy. That is wow. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
I was here thinking I had no story for that, but
Hey, trust me, when you take a moment, something pops into your head, and it's amazing what comes out. And I'm glad you were able to share that with me and the audience right now. Oh wow. It's I don't know, it's just so for me it's the idea of someone's like lies just for the most part spilling out. It's just so satisfying to a point. Okay. Oh, that's good. That made me smile. All right. Let's get into the game show portion of the podcast.
Go for it. What game have you got for me? I told you that I didn't know which one, so I wanted you to surprise me.
So I got two games for you.
Yeah.
So the first one would be I chose for the most part something easy and something reasonably discussable. So the two games we're going to be playing are Would You Rather and Inheritance. So we'll start out with Would You Rather. Pretty simple. I'm going to be asking you two different scenarios, and you're going to tell me why you're choosing one over the other. And we're going to do this twice. How does that sound?
Okay, that sounds all right. Let's do that. Let's go.
All right, let's get started then. The first situation: Would you rather have a tail, or every other day get unexpectedly beaten with a stale baguette by an Italian grandma? And why? Or why?
Wait, every other day, I'll get what by a grandma?
You'll get like beaten by a stale baguette.
I'd
out of
be
nowhere.
beaten by a stale baguette.
Not a tail man, huh?
Yeah, I'm not a tail man. The baguette's all right. Like I get the tail, but I have no guarantees that it's going to be an opposable tail. So, like, the stale baguette is fine. I rarely ever have food. I always forget to eat. So somebody who beat me with the stale baguette is providing me with a decent breakfast at the very least. At the very least, a nutritious lunch. So I'm down for that.
Just see some grandma just coming down the road beating you, and when that's over,
yeah,
breakfast.
I get free bread.
All right. Well, we'll end that scenario. We'll move on to the second one. All right. Would you run a marathon holding scissors in both hands, or would you rather there be a swarm of spiders living in your house, and why?
I'd rather run a marathon holding scissors in both hands. What am I, a 4-year-old? I'm not gonna cut myself. This crazy thing when you're running, right? You can just push your hands forward. So that means if you fall with the scissors, they don't cut you.
What if you like fall on the scissors?
Good. Even better. So much work to deal with. I don't. That's so
Just end your stupidity at that point. Like, you know, I deserve this at this point.
Yeah, I earned this for running around with scissors like a dumbass.
No word on the spider fiasco.
No, why would there be any words on the spider fiasco? Fucking no.
Some spiders aren't that bad. I wouldn't do it, but honestly, I don't think I think there's a very low percentage of anyone who would agree to that, actually. Spiders, man, for the most part, they're just creepy for creepy's sake. All right, you're going to be starting to... Hopefully you won't be running a marathon anytime soon. All right, well, that's the end of that one. We're going to get started with inheritance. For inheritance, there's going to be 3 rounds of this. So inheritance is similar to Would You Rather, except I'm going to be offering you a set amount of money. And that amount of money is correlated to a curse that goes with it. So you can agree to take the money, but it comes with that curse, or you can deny it and you won't no longer have that offer, but you won't get the curse at all. How does that sound?
Okay, that sounds right.
All right. Let's start with something relatively easy. Okay, for this one, I'm going to offer you, what's a reasonable amount of money for this scenario? 250,000. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Okay, for 250,000, but it comes with this. When it's cloudy, all of the clothes on you, including your undergarments, are made of duct tape.
Okay, that's not bad.
So you're taking the money.
Yeah, it's not bad. Actually, that's fine.
All right, just be slow to take them off.
This is the thing about tape, right? Yeah, the first couple of times things will stick to it. But literally in like 10 seconds, it goes fucking useless. Hell, if you want to make sure your tape doesn't stick to you, jump in like a little bit of water. So yeah, it's cloudy. It's going to rain maybe. I get rained on, duct tape safe. If I don't get rained on, get a nice pond nearby, fine. Hell, I can just stay indoors all the time and just pour water down myself whenever it gets cloudy.
Wait, does duct tape really come off with water?
It doesn't come off, but water usually messes up the glue in most tapes.
That's what I'm trying to remember. Like,
yeah.
All right. So that you agreed to that one. All right. You are $250,000 richer. Let's move on to the second round. Let's see this one. This is a little bit more strange. So I'm gonna offer you $500,000 on this one.
Okay.
So $500,000. But whenever you play a game, an invisible snail begins to slowly follow you, and if it ever reaches you, you will die.
Whenever I play a game, right? What kind of game?
Any game, anything that's considered a game in your mind.
Okay. $500,000 invisible snail game. I just don't game and I just work all. I mean, I'm almost there. I'm getting old. Probably never gonna game again. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna take the $500,000. You gave me like these easy options. I'm $750,000 up. All right.
All right. Let's hope that snail never catches up with you.
It's a snail. It's like when people talk about the monster from It Follows, right? It follows.
Okay.
You watched that movie?
Yes.
Yeah. It moves at the monster only moves at the pace of person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just go to an airport and fly across the country.
You can become an
assassin. Yeah, but you can become an assassin who can never be caught. Your job is just sleep with someone, fly away. The monster kills them, comes for you, but you're already in Barbados. By the time it gets to Barbados, you're in France.
That's so much work.
Yeah, of course it is. But by the time you're dead, like you've lived a full life, being an international assassin.
Can't disagree on you on that. All right, then. You made those easy. So for the last one, let's see. So I offered you. You're at 75. So I'm gonna make it. 1 point. To make it an even 2 million, if you agree to this. So, $1,250,000.
Okay.
So that's how much money I'm offering you. But
Okay.
every time you see a red car, you are instantly put inside a womb and must relive your own birth.
Wait, what? I mean, I have to relive my own birth? Every
Yes.
time I see a red car?
Yes.
Do I like instantly go back to my age, or do I have to like regrow again from childhood?
You're basically reincarnated.
So okay, so every time I see a red car, I basically have to start life all over again.
Yes.
It sounds fucking terrible.
For this scenario, I'll let you have the ability to still be able to get into your bank account.
Yeah, I can imagine, but I'm more worried about having to live so long as a fucking baby. I mean, it technically means I'm immortal forever.
In a sense, yes.
Because like all I need to do is put the money in a bank account, you know, stay at home all the time, periodically see red cars so that I can be reborn, taken care of all over again until adulthood with all the knowledge I gather, which will basically make me a super genius baby every single time. Then I get older. By then, the money's already increased by a stupid amount. I got to live off of someone else's dole. If I live with a family that's kind of shit, I just walk outside, find a red car, boom, back to square one. And by the time I do this a couple of times, billionaire, and I just hold myself up in a home.
So you're taking the money.
I'm trying to think about what I should.
No. I'll let you think about it. This is the option I'm giving you. So think about it. I'm letting you work it out. And
I'm just putting the pros. Like technically, after like 2 or 3 lifetimes worth of 2 or 3 young lifetimes, I can live. And I can also change what I look like by just being reborn and looking better or whatever I want. Then I've got my money.
Don't worry, you'll get used to shitting your pants every once in a while.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's fine because it's just being a baby. Other people clean up after you. Do you know how much I want to be able to just sit down and just poop myself where I sit and have someone else clean me after me? That's the weirdest thing I've ever said in my life.
It's recorded.
It's recorded. Please no. Oh God, I'm terrified by the very prospect of that.
Go ahead. I'll let you take as much time as you need on this one because there is like for the most part you worked out a reasonable pro, but there are some cons to this.
I mean, there's the obvious con of having to be reborn and like vividly relive birth, which I mean you will get dulled from that, but still weird. There's the obvious con of literally dying. I mean, what else would you call? Even if I'm just popping out of existence, I'm basically dying every time.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And the moment, and what sucks is that if you actually do die, all that effort is gone.
Yeah, if I do die realistically, yeah. So if I get unfortunately born and I die from complications, I'm fucked. I don't get to. So like, I either need to be a baby who gets perfectly born every time, or I'm fucked. Like, and babies die from complications all the time. What if I get unlucky and I get put in like some country where they don't have good healthcare, like America? Like,
I'm not gonna deny that.
It's like, yeah, I'm kind of worried. Like, you know, how does this end? Okay, I can't take that money. The risks are too real, and because there's if I could limit where I was being born, I could probably keep my chances of dying at like under 90%, which at the chances of dying at under 5 or 6%. And if I could do that, then yes. But no, the chances are too wide and different, and anything could happen at any point in time. Hell, I could grow up and think that maybe like I have a nut allergy and I don't remember having a nut allergy in my last life, and I decide to consume a nut, and I'm instantly murdered by my own hubris. That's the most eloquent way of saying killed by a nut.
Oh, so no to the offer.
I can't take that offer. It's too risky.
All right.
Ghost snail, fine. Literal death reincarnation cycle every time. Maybe not.
All right, so you are at least $750,000 richer. There's just a snail slowly coming after you, and on cloudy days, duct tape clothes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Eh?
I have 750 grand. Like, that's an easy first thing I do. Advertise the podcast a little more. Second thing I do, get everyone better equipment. Third thing I do, put the rest of the money in a bank. I'll probably at least have at least 500 grand left. Probably even help my co-host get an actual insulated room. Get myself an insulated room I can live in permanently. It'll be perfect.
But at least I can do the first part and help you with the advertisements. So this is the part of the show where I let my guests go ahead and promote themselves, let them know where they can find you, what you do.
I guess, oh God, I just moved in my chair, like popped. I'm sorry. Damn. Where can people find me? I guess people can find me on Twitter at earthbound_m. Earthbound like the game, I know. Because on there I have the Twitter from my podcast, which is everyone should check out my podcast and then tell me how bad it is so that I can improve. Let's see. That's all I've really got. Podcasts, me, my co-host, but you can find her through the podcast. Yeah, I don't really advertise too much. I got like one thing.
I might have something for you after this then. Well, go ahead.
Also, if you hit me up on Twitter, hashtag Tiny Meat Gang.
What?
That's Cody Co's. That's Cody Co's. Cody Co's song thing. Just at me with hashtag Tiny Meat Gang or Kinky. I will totally tell you anything you want to hear.
Oh, I'll keep that in mind moving forward. Actually. Oh my God. All right. So go ahead and I'll have all the links below for that. Go check them out. I actually, like I said, I honestly do enjoy the work you guys put out.
Thank God. Somebody does.
So go ahead and go check them out, guys. As always, everyone, thank you for listening. And thank you for taking the time to join me for this chat.
Anytime.
So everyone, as always, you can always find us on Google Play, iTunes, actually iTunes podcast now. Apparently they're changing everything over there. Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere podcasts can be heard. So everyone, thanks again for listening. Until next time, see ya.
Hey, this is Adam Nutter.
And this is Greg Trout. Come check out our podcast, Nerds with Words. Adam and I talk about pop culture, comedy, comic books, movies, conspiracies. We're both comedians and we might make you laugh. Every week we welcome a guest from the entire spectrum of pop culture and science and comedy. You can follow us on Twitter at NerdsWithWords1.
Hey everybody, my name is Grant, and I host a podcast called It's Trivial. Now, It's Trivial is a game show in which I pit comedians, musicians, podcasters, and other interesting people against one another, usually in front of a live audience for the sake of public ridicule. Hope you'll check it out. There's something there for everybody. There's stuff for people who like movies, music, history, geography, comic books, and even more. Be sure to give me a follow here on social media on Instagram and Twitter at It's Trivial Show, and check out the entire first season of It's Trivial now in your favorite podcast app. Thanks.